In today's video, we're going to be talking about Netflix launching their ad-supported version of Netflix at $6.99. We're going to be talking about this story. What does it mean for Netflix and the future of Netflix? And what does this signal about the direction of the overall economy? So we're going to be covering a lot of stuff today. First and foremost, this is going to affect everybody. Obviously, if you choose the ad-supported option, whether maybe you weren't signed up to Netflix before and you decide, for $6.99, what the heck, I'll sign up. Or if you were thinking about canceling Netflix and you're like, I was going to cancel at $15 a month, but if I can still keep it around for $6.99 a month, maybe I'll do that. Even if you're not somebody who chooses the ad-supported option, this is going to affect your Netflix viewing experience. And let me tell you why. All shows created by Netflix themselves, as well as any shows, movies, documentaries that are created with the intention of selling to Netflix, they're going to be written in a different way, right? Like, television shows are made so that there's kind of a cliffhanger and then a commercial. They're made with ad breaks in mind. So whereas previously Netflix had no ads, if a show ran a half hour, an hour and a half, 2 hours, it just ran and it was written however the story was supposed to be. Moving forward, everything new is going to be created with the idea of ad breaks in mind. So kind of like the cadence, I guess for lack of a better word, the cadence of shows or how shows and movies are going to be written in a different way where, okay, at the 15-minute mark, there has to be a hard break for a commercial. So even if you're not on the commercial plan, this is going to affect you. This is actually something that Netflix began teasing out a couple months back. At first, it was like, this might be something that we might do. Then it became, this is something that we're going to do in 2023. I think a lot of us were expecting this to come in 2023 or 2024. And it looks like Netflix has sped up the timeline. So I don't know if it's available already, but if it's not available already, it's going to be available in the coming days. We're going to be taking a look at an article in a second that's going to kind of get into some of the more hard numbers and, what are the most popular streaming services and what's the percentage of viewers who subscribe to or regularly watch these services. But for starters, I just kind of wanted to kind of shoot the shit about Netflix a little bit. So I'd be curious to hear from you guys. Drop a comment. How long have you been with Netflix? How many of you guys have been with Netflix since the days of the DVDs? When you actually got DVDs through the mail. I remember my family had Netflix back when it was DVDs. And I remember I would get 3 DVDs at a time. I downloaded some software that would allow you to, copy or rewrite or rip, real movies or whatever. And so I got this software and I would buy stacks of 100 DVDs, and I would, get 3 DVDs in the mail, rip them, send them back, get 3 more, rip them, send them back, and I had built up this big binder of all these movies. And some of you guys may remember back in the days when, people took pride in their either DVD or CD collection. People would have their big binders of DVDs and movies. Some other kind of Netflix history. Netflix used to have a really lucrative affiliate program. I think they gave you $22 or $24 per sign up. And if I remember correctly, I don't even believe that the sign up required a credit card. So that was one of the kind of earlier best affiliate programs. As often happens with affiliate programs, over time they get worse and eventually go away. In the early days, Netflix needed affiliates to help build their business and kind of get it in every household. Well, at this point, Netflix is a household name. I forget the percentage. I think it's probably 63 or 73% of households have Netflix. So, no surprise the affiliate program went away. Another interesting thing about Netflix, in the early days of Netflix, they actually encouraged people to share passwords. I believe that was even a marketing program of theirs. It's share your Netflix password with your brother or sister, mom, dad, roommate, whoever. And then over the years, they realized that the vast majority of people weren't subscribed to Netflix, but were piggybacking off other people's accounts. And that's when they started putting limits on, you can only be watching on 1 device at a time or 2 devices at a time. I know, there's 6 people who have my Netflix password. And so oftentimes when I try to go on and watch Netflix, either my mom and dad are on or my mom and sister are on, and I can't get onto my own Netflix account. And you know what I was thinking about? This is a little bit off topic, but way back in the days of Netflix by mail, I don't know if any of you guys remember Ninja Video. Back around that time, there was a service called Ninja Video, and it was basically just a streaming website where you could go watch new movies that were out at the theater. Some of them were actually good copies that just got leaked. more often than not, they were either like cams or they were like, movies that they'd gotten from like Korea or Japan and had like Korean or Japanese subtitles on them. But that was kind of way back in the day of Netflix by mail. Now, before we get into the story, let's talk a little bit about what this means for kind of the overall economy. It's really interesting how right now we're seeing all these articles about how the U.S., but quote unquote, could sink into a recession, as if we're not in a recession already. We know that the White House and the Fed changed the definition of a recession from 2 quarters of negative growth or no growth to recessions are a lot more complicated. We can't define it by 2 negative quarters of growth because there's still jobs out there. Most of these jobs are low-wage, service sector jobs, hospitality and restaurant jobs, jobs that a lot of people don't want. During the beer cough, during the 2 years of beer cough lockdowns, one thing we learned that was that like 75% of people in the restaurant and hospitality industry did not want to go back to that industry. So the kind of this glut of jobs that we have are low-paying jobs that nobody really wants. And most of the new jobs that we're picking up are people getting second and third jobs, which obviously isn't a signal of a healthy economy. I think part of the reason that everyone's so hesitant to use the R word, the recession word, is because who's in power, right? The media tends to favor the left and favor Democrats. I don't think there's really any denying that. And I have a feeling that if Trump or a Republican were in office, we'd be talking about this terrible recession that we're in. But because of who's in office, we're playing it off like we're in danger of going into a recession, but we're not quite there yet. I think it's pretty clear that we're in a recession. Layoffs are finally starting to happen. It started with the tech sector, real estate, mortgages, but it's starting to expand out into other companies. I saw Intel the other day announce that they were laying off 20,000 workers. And we're starting to see more and more companies who are laying people off. I saw the other day Biden had kind of done a quid pro quo with Saudi Arabia. So he had asked, Saudi Arabia, OPEC, said that they were going to cut back how much gas that they were going to produce. Biden asked them, hey, could you hold off for 30 days? Like, that's an odd amount of time to ask for, right? Like, maybe hold off until Christmas so people can kind of enjoy the holidays and buy presents for their family. Maybe not even asking to temporarily halt it, but hey, just, don't cut back production. But to say, could you cut back production for 30 days? What happens in like 24 days from now, the midterms, right? So a lot of things are being propped up for the midterms. The Democrats want to make sure that they kind of put their best foot forward going into the midterms, which is why they announced student loan debt forgiveness. This is something that they've been dangling in front of people's faces for years. And if the situation right now weren't so dire, I think they would have kept it on the table and not actually passed it. Because when you hang something over people's heads, you can say, vote for me and you'll get this. Vote for me and you'll get this. It's like a carrot on a stick. You never really get the carrot, but it's always dangled in front of you. Same thing with abortion. We have the whole Roe versus Wade thing. The left or Democrats could have codified Roe versus Wade into law numerous times over the past several decades, but they didn't do it. Why? Because abortion is a big, controversial, hot-button issue that you can hang in front of people's faces, and then eventually Roe versus Wade gets overturned, and then everybody's up in arms and shocked, even though they could have codified it into law years ago. So basically, Biden just got caught doing what Trump was impeached for the first time. Even though when Trump did it, I believe Zelensky actually said there was no pay-to-play. Trump wasn't extorting me. However, in this instance, Saudi Arabia is actually saying, like, yes, Biden said he was going to cut off funding and military aid if we didn't pause this cutback on oil production for at least the next 30 days. So it'll be interesting to see how that whole thing plays out. Like I said, we're starting to see layoffs. Inflation continues to get higher. It doesn't appear to get better anytime soon. Jay Powell's kind of sounding like this inflation is going to stick around until 2025, and it may wind up sticking around even longer. Stocks and everything look like they're going to continue to fall. And honestly, with Biden in the White House shaking hands with dead people and asking if dead people are in the room, and just walking around confused on stage, grabbing kids, it doesn't inspire a whole lot of confidence in terms of the leadership and who's running this country. I think we all know that Biden isn't pulling the strings and making the decisions, but even just being a figurehead, having a bumbling clown as a figurehead doesn't inspire a lot of confidence when the country is incredibly divided and the economy is on the brink of collapse. Starting to see housing prices fall back. I've been kind of looking around for some houses. I think it's still too early to pull the trigger on anything, but I think that's going to get bad over the next year, 18 months, 2 years. But we got a little bit off topic. Let's hop into this article. So this one comes from a media publication, which the major social media channels don't like. Rhymes with, I don't know, I'm not even say what it rhymes with. ZH. Netflix launches an ad-supported option at $6.99 in an effort to regain momentum and boost per-user revenues at a time when consumers are increasingly pressured by price inflation. Netflix will debut an ad-supported subscription option on November 3rd, priced at $6.99 per month. So this one's going to roll out on November 3rd. I'm going to give you guys a prediction as to what's going to wind up happening. So this ad-supported version is going to be $6.99. I believe they still have the $9.99 version, which is, it's not the best streaming quality, and I believe you're limited to one device at a time. Then they have like the $15.99 version, which I believe lets you have two devices at a time, and it's $10.80. And then there's like a $20 or $24 version. Within the next year to, I would say, 18 months, what's going to wind up happening is basically all the tiers are going to get bumped up. So they're going to raise the price of the ad-supported option to $9.99. So that's going to be the base price. Then the $9.99 is going to be like $14.99. Excuse me. The $14.99 is going to be like $17.99 or $19.99, and then the other one's going to wind up being like $25.99 or $25.99. In a sense, this $6.99 package is actually a price cut. Granted, in order to sign up for this package, Netflix is going to ask you for your birthday and your gender. And so basically they're going to be able to serve you more accurate ads, and they're going to be able to sell ads. So it's an additional revenue stream with them being able to sell ads. However, at the same time, in a sense, it's kind of a price cut because they're letting people get the service for $3 less. So it's my prediction that in the next year, 18 months, this $6.99 package is going to become $9.99, and all the other packages are going to jump up as well. Set a bookmark. We'll see if that actually winds up happening. It's a move the company had long rejected, but it is making it out of desperation to rebuild its devastated market cap. Though Netflix stock rose 5.3% on the news, the shares are still down a whopping 67% from their 52-week high of $700.99. Hulu has always had an ad-supported option. Most of the other services have not, although recently I think we've learned that HBO Max, Disney, and a number of other streaming services are also going to roll out an ad-supported option. I think the timing of this, we talk about early signs or signals that we're going to be heading into a recession or that times are going to start getting tougher. If you want to hear more stuff about the economy, check out my homie Brian Phobos' channel. He talks a lot about crypto as well as stocks and just the overall economy. And he kind of has a lot of interesting, leading indicators that he points out. Like one thing he said was, I think he tends to follow people on Instagram who are very much kind of flossing their lifestyle and things like that. And he said a lot of those people, he's seeing less posts from them. So he said, that could be kind of like end of summer. Summer's coming to an end. People aren't doing all these exciting things and taking all the trips that they were during the summer. But he said he also thinks that, people don't necessarily have the money to floss on Netflix, and that could be a sign. And I think, all these streaming services rolling out ad-supported options could be a sign that we're heading for bad times. I know a lot of you guys would say we're already in bad times, and I would agree with that. But think about it. A lot of people are looking for places to cut back. So if your choice is I have Netflix for $9.99, I could either cancel it entirely or there's another plan on Netflix that could save me $3 a month. So you can kind of cut back, save yourself $3 a month, which in the grand scheme of things is kind of insignificant. But in your head, you're like, I am making cutbacks. I rolled my Netflix plan back from $9.99 or $14.99 a month to $6.99 a month. So you're still keeping the service, but you can feel good that you've made a cutback. Also, for new people subscribing to a service, I think that $10 is kind of this price, is kind of this like mental barrier where I think $10 and $20, right? $9.99 and $19.99. There's these mental barriers where under a certain price point, something's an impulse buy, and you don't even really think about spending the money. It's only $6.99 a month. That's nothing. It's a pack of cigarettes. It's a cup of coffee. What the heck? I'll sign up for it. So I also think they're kind of rolling that out because it's kind of a psychological price point that people can justify isn't really spending very much. After a decade of growth this year, the company posted subscriber losses in back-to-back quarters. The company has 221 million subscribers worldwide and previously said it hopes to add a paltry 1 million in the third quarter. We'll find out Tuesday, October 18th. According to the company's Thursday announcement, the new tier called Basics with Ads will initially be available in a dozen countries: the United States, Australia, Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Korea, Mexico, Spain, and the UK. For those who opt for Basic with Ads can expect an average of 4 to 5 minutes of advertisements per hour, both before and during the program. Each ad will be 15 or 30 seconds long. Netflix didn't project how many viewing interruptions the subscribers will experience. And here's kind of a funny tweet. Somebody says, imagine watching your favorite character about to die on a Netflix show, then a Grammarly ad pops up for 30 seconds. I'll be curious to see what their ads are like. I actually have a Hulu plan. It's like the free one with ads. And by the way, they play a shitload of ads, and they play really long ads, like 2, 3, 5-minute ads. But what's especially annoying is they must not have very many advertisers, because I'll literally watch the same ad 4 times in a row during a commercial break. And I forget what the one they were playing the hell out of. They were playing the hell out of... I think it's called the Nunu or something like that. It's basically like a Plato's Closet or Mercari, kind of like used designer clothes type store. But like, are you with the UU? Are you with the Nunu? Whatever it is. But they would play this fucking ad like 4 or 5 times during every commercial break. And it was the only ad that they would play. On the topic of ads, I don't know if you guys ever watch World Star Hip Hop, but I think everybody must be hungry for money and trying to grab as much money as they can while they can. I've noticed on World Star Hip Hop, which used to have no ads at all in terms of pre-roll ads, now literally every single video has an ad before. It's a little bit annoying. Back into the article, a limited number of movies and TV shows won't be available due to licensing restrictions, which we're working on, the company said. With the addition of the new option, Netflix will offer 4 different subscription plans. Basic with ads, $6.99, watch one device at a time, no downloading HD. So you won't be able to download shows if you're, taking a trip and going on a plane. Basic, $9.99, watch or downloading on one device at a time, HD starting in November. Standard, $15.49, watch or download on 2 devices at a time, HD. And then Premium, $19.99, watch or download on 4 devices at a time, Ultra HD. And again, within the next year to 18 months, I expect all these plans to hop up, and the Basic with ads will become $9.99, and the other plans will tier up from there. We'll see if that winds up happening. For comparison, Disney Plus costs $10 without ads, and will have a $7 with ads option in December. So Disney Plus is rolling out a with ads cheaper version in December. And HBO Max is $14.99 without ads and will roll out a $9.99 with ads. One producer of Netflix says a content change will alter everybody's experience on the platform. One maybe non-obvious, and this is from a tweet from David H. Steinberg, one maybe non-obvious impact is that this will change the way every story is broken at Netflix from now on, as writers will have to build in hard act breaks. Even if you're watching a non-ad version, the story can no longer be completely continuous. It's finally happening. Advertising is coming to Netflix beginning November 3rd. The streamers will charge $7 per month for a new ad-supported tier. To support tailored advertising, Basic with ads users will have to provide something other subscribers don't today: date of birth and gender. This article goes on to say, we'll be curious to see how many TikTok-inspired gender options our notoriously woke Netflix will present. As of August, streaming accounted for a record high 35% of all television usage, according to Nielsen, eclipsing once mighty cable. So if we look at this, broadcast is 22%, cable is 34.5%, streaming is 35%, and other is 8.5%. And if we look at where people are spending their viewing time, other streaming 10.3%, Netflix 7.6%, Hulu 3.7%, Prime Video 2.9%, Disney Plus 1.9%, and HBO Max 1.2%. I think the main reason Netflix has been struggling is A, there's more competition in the streaming space. And I think, 2, to some extent, people have kind of watched everything there is to watch on Netflix. I know Netflix getting rid of, this sounds kind of silly, but I know Netflix getting rid of Parks and Rec as well as The Office, kind of turned a lot of people off to Netflix. I would say there was a good period of a couple years where really the only thing I would watch on Netflix besides maybe Ozark was I would, like before bed, or if I'm just doing stuff around the house and I want some background noise, I would turn on either Parks and Rec or The Office. That was like my go-to. Once Peacock came out, I believe they cut off Netflix's license and wanted to run that show themselves. But Netflix just hasn't been putting out a lot of great shows. I will give you a couple good shows that Netflix has put out recently. There was a movie called Lou, L-O-U. That one was pretty solid. It's about this former CIA operative lady. There's another recent one with Gerard Butler. I think it's called Where's My Wife or something like that. Basically, his wife goes missing at a gas station. And it's kind of like one of the Taken movies with Liam Neeson, or it's kind of like your typical Gerard Butler, action movie / thriller. That one was actually pretty good. Just a couple other movie recommendations for you. This one is not on Netflix, but there's a great a great movie called Fall, about these two girls who climb to the top of a cell phone tower or radio tower, wind up getting stuck out there. That was a pretty good one. And this past weekend, I did binge through, I was up in Upper Michigan, staying at an Airbnb, hanging out a little bit, and we started binging on a new show called The Watcher on Netflix. I was already familiar with the story. If you guys ever watch like scary stories on YouTube, or some of these scary story YouTube channels, you may have heard the Watcher story. It's actually a true story. The Netflix version got a little bit weird, and they kind of like altered and butchered the actual true story, but I still thought the show was pretty solid. But there's a couple decent Netflix shows that you might want to check out. But like I said, Netflix hasn't been putting out a lot of great content. A lot of the content that they have been putting out is a little bit woke. They put out some show about a pregnant Japanese man a while back. And the reality is people don't want to see that stuff. More recently we saw that movie Bros, the quote-unquote first ever gay rom-com came out. And, it just tanked at the box office. And then you have the new Top Gun movie come out. And that one does record numbers, does fantastic. Obviously, it's a piggyback on a previous movie that was hugely popular. But I think audiences have spoken, and there's certain types of content people want to watch, and there's other types of content people don't want to watch. And I think the kind of some of the woke employees at Netflix are kind of trying to force the content that they want to produce or the content they want to make and watch on the rest of us. And during good times when VC money's pouring into companies and there's a lot of money flying around, you can do things like that. As we start entering hard times, people are going to stop paying for stuff that they don't want. People are going to stop supporting companies that shove things in their face that they don't want. And I think we're starting to see that. And I think a lot of companies are going to kind of learn that lesson of go woke, go broke. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts, opinions, anything else you have to say about this story. Go ahead and drop them down below. I won't link to this article because I never linked to this website because major social media channels don't like it. But yeah, drop your thoughts, comments, opinions, anything else you have to add down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button down below and ring the bell, and I will catch you guys on the next video.